I'm Kat, I play games, and I built a pyramid in The Sims 4. I decided to build in Sulani because it was the closest I could get to the jungle. I don't think you can actually build in the Jungle Adventure world, but I'm not sure. At first I did try to roof this. I realised I could only have 4 levels, and then the roofs just weren't working. They wouldn't go up to each other, they wouldn't get high enough, they wouldn't fit. So in the end I ended up doing more of a sort of Aztec style pyramid with a little roof right on the top. I used Get Together for the walls and flooring, Lovestruck on the roof texture, and then I used Riviera Retreat archways for the entrances. I had been debating what kind of lot to make, but in the end I did make it just a giant house. I did decide to keep the stone textures on the inside as well, so there really was as much a pyramid as possible. I made the whole thing symmetrical, so I put the same rooms either side for the floor plan on every single floor. I used more of those Riviera Retreat archways everywhere except the bathrooms. The stairs are from the Castle Estate kit, and I used lighting from Desert Lux as well. I just copied those stairs and lights across each floor as I did each floor plan. I made sure to make everything symmetrical. There was pretty much always hallways for the stairs. The second floor I made into the 2 bedrooms. I put in multiple bathrooms in this house and lots of skill building space as well. I basically just made the whole thing consistent with walls and lights across every floor. I decided to do the walls in the Castle Estate kit stone texture. I just used a swatch that matched the floors pretty closely, and I put it literally everywhere. I made sure my ceilings were painted before I did anything else because I really wanted to make sure everything was covered in the stone, and then I made sure everything had a door as well, and I used life and death doors for all of the bathrooms. At this point I wasn't really doing what I'd pictured and it didn't fit Sulani very well, but I was still okay with the overall concept. I moved on to the kitchen first, and I used Jungle Adventure counters in there. I ended up using that pack a lot for different parts of the build as well as island living. I had a huge kitchen space to work with. I used the Jungle Adventure appliances as well in there. I was basically using quite a pale swatch of everything so that it would match the stone on the walls and floor. I gave it some upper cabinets and a range hood as well, which I did have to push back into the wall a little bit, but it didn't clip in the end. I added the Riviera Retreat lemonade tray and a little money bin in the kitchen as well. Put up some little bits of clutter from different packs. I put in a coat rack by the front door, and then I decided I wanted the kitchenware shelf from Jungle Adventure that matched the swatches of the other stuff. I added some aprons as clutter, and then I put up a Castle Estate heraldic item and some Jungle Adventure stone stuff on the walls as well. I had to resize and move it around a little bit to make sure it wasn't clipping weird, and then I decided I would do an island in the kitchen as well. I added some Desert Lux bar stools, and then I put a piece of artwork on the wall that was from the sort of African update a little while ago, as well as the little woven pot item from the same update. I added a vase from Island Living, and then I went out in the middle and decided to put a Courtyard Oasis fountain in there, as well as some Riviera Retreat fountains. And I put in the Jungle Adventure mirror, as well as some Adventure Awaits sofas and a couple of little bits of base game art. I added some base game rugs by the entranceways, and then I decided I would do the little entry, so I put more base game rugs at the front doors. I used some Adventure Awaits tables here, and I used some of the Jungle Adventure wall pieces, which do become a fixture in most of the rooms. I did decide to use the Rewards Event key collection in here, and I put in a base game divider in the corner just to take up some space. I found a bit of Adventure Awaits clutter to go on the other side, and then I caught sight of the pergola from Riviera Retreat, so I had to put that outside as well. It floated on this section a little bit, I did have to move it. I made a little seating area with Desert Lux chairs and a Riviera Retreat fire pit, and I moved this up to the flat ground by the side of the house to make it work. I added some more clutter at the other entranceway, so I used the Pride Update coat item. I put in a shelf from Desert Lux as well. I added a little shoe rack by the door, and I put some base game artwork up as well on either side. I decided to use a pretty big plant item from Jungle Adventure, so I did have to shuffle stuff around a little bit to make it work. I went outside and added banana trees from the Courtyard Oasis kit, and then I decided to add just a ton of foliage. So I used Jungle Adventure for a lot of things. I used most of the hanging plants. I decided I'd made this more of a jungle sort of pyramid, so I was going to cover every possible space in foliage. I had a solid mixture of the flowering plants and the hanging ferns. Some of them were the small ones. I used some of the bigger ones as well. I did this to literally every single side of the pyramid. At this point, I'd decided to go with the Aztec theme. I put up a couple of courtyard oasis trees on one of the levels, and then I just kept covering everything in those flowers and ferns. There were a couple of times I did sort of doubt myself and my choices, but once I'd done some of the sides, it just didn't look right if any of them were blank, so I had to do it everywhere. Basically, if I'm going to do wall foliage, I am really going to do wall foliage. Once I moved back inside, I decided to do the dining room, so I used Jungle Adventure table with some Adventure Awaits chairs. I added a Desert Luxe fireplace at one end, and then on the other side of the room, a Courtyard Oasis sofa. I was still going for quite a blue and gold colour scheme in my head. I put in a Courtyard Oasis mosaic underneath the table and sized it down a little bit. I added base game artwork with a Jungle Adventure plant in the corner and a Jungle Adventure mirror as well, and I put up some Adventure Awaits pictures on the wall. The next room was an office, so I used an island living table with some base game unlockable bookshelves, and I used just a base game table as well and a normal PC. I added a werewolves rug that I really like the design of. It's quite patchy and old and worn. In the corner I decided to add a plant from my Riviera retreat, and I put some more of those Jungle Adventure pieces on the wall in a variety of colours. I decided this build absolutely had to have an archaeology table. I put in a chess set as well and some Riviera retreat chairs and a Jungle Adventure sofa on the other wall. I put in an Adventure Awaits item and some Jungle Adventure decoration above that sofa, and I used an Adventure Awaits rug as well and a base game fireplace in here. I did add an Adventure Awaits chair at the corner. That was probably one of the 3 most used packs in this build, and then I went upstairs to the bathroom. For this primary bathroom, I actually decided to use the Enchanted by Nature rock tub and the funny little toilet as well. I used an Adventure Awaits mirror and a little plant from Jungle Adventure. I just shuffled stuff around, put a rug in front of the tub, and then went onto the hallway. I used some more of those stone items from Jungle Adventure, and I put in a little pot as well. I realised I didn't have any fencing on the stairs here, so I just went around and put a base game one in. I did actually confuse myself a little bit about the placement of the stairs on one floor. I couldn't work out why it wasn't sitting symmetrical, and in the end I just had to give up and leave it as it was. I did fence all of them off, and then I added some decorations, so I put those Jungle Adventure items up on the wall again. I put a little plant in the corner from Island Living, and I put in a broken pot item there. I went on the main bedroom and did a Jungle Adventure bed and side tables. I ended up using just a base game dresser, and I put a base game mirror over the top of it as well. I used the Adventure Awaits rug again and the Jungle Adventure item on the wall, and then I used a fireplace from Adventure Awaits as well. I wanted some armchairs, so I used the Courtyard Oasis kit again, and I put the Enchanted by Nature bookshelf in between the 2 doors. I made sure the swatch matched and added another chair, and then I decided to add a few extra plants, so I put in one from Growing Together and one from Businesses and Hobbies and just scooted the door a little bit. I used the Lovestruck backsplash as a piece of art and some city living items as well. I added an outdoor retreat lamp and the little comfy gamer book as well, and I added the everyday clutter mug and just moved them around a little bit. I decided the next bit was a child's room, so I used Seasons beds. I used 2 different swatches, and then I put in the refined living room kit for the side tables. I used 1 lamp from Werewolves and 1 from Growing Together, and I just put some artwork up on the walls as well. I gave them the Eco Lifestyle dollhouse with a string shovel item and an Enchanted by Nature one as well. I used the activity table from Parenthood, a reward event stuffed animal, and a little Adventure Awaits imaginary friend as well. I had a dresser from Cats and Dogs with a Growing Together mirror, and I used a horse ranch rug as well. I put up some high school years artwork and some Parenthood artwork, as well as a piece from My First Pet stuff and a kids room stuff one as well. There's paper mache from Adventure Awaits and a little Grogu doll, as well as a storybook nursery rug that I've sized up a tiny bit in the corner. The kids' bathroom got a shower tub combo from Parenthood and the same Jungle Adventure sink I'd used elsewhere, and I used a tiny living toilet in there as well. I just cluttered like normal. I moved upstairs and did the little family bathroom, just a toilet and a sink using the same items as before and the Adventure Awaits mirror. And then I decided for this skill building area I was going to have a piano at the top of the stairs, as well as some more of that Jungle Adventure art and a cats and dogs rug. For the larger room on this floor I decided to make a sort of gym, so I put in the Adventure Awaits bike and free weights and I gave them a yoga mat from Spa Day. Your Sims can walk over that, so it's not really in the way. I put in a base game mirror and just tiled it so there weren't any lines in between, and I used the werewolves rug again here in a lighter swatch. I decorated one hallway with a city living pot and a base game piece of artwork, as well as a little plant from Businesses and Hobbies. The Jungle Adventure stone art went in again as well, and then I actually used Wedding Stories items in the other two. I finally decided it was time to landscape outside, so I put a slightly different sand texture around the front and also under the pergola, and I used Island Living and Jungle Adventure plants everywhere out here, so mostly palm trees and little bright flower bushes. I gave it a solid mix of the two because what I wanted mostly was a variety in height. I made sure it didn't clip into any of the building, and then I put my favourite bush from Island Living around every single side. I added it to all of the edges, but I also put it underneath most of the trees and flowers. I made it a bit thicker in some areas and thinner in others. I love this item so much and I use it whenever I can, so I was going absolutely ham with it. Unfortunately, I did forget to do a mailbox on this build. I put in a lot of Riviera Retreat rocks in and around the bushes just to make it look a little bit more natural because there was a lot of foliage and not a lot else going on. I just wanted to fill as many gaps as possible because there were a lot of holes. I added a swing set from Little Campers and I put in the Adventure Awaits hot tub as well. I just put that in between some of the bushes and kind of blended it in. I gave them an Island Living jet ski and Adventure Awaits kayaks, and with that I was done, so enjoy the screenshots. Please consider a like and subscribe.